Good Tuesday morning. Today on the Fredericton Marathon training calendar is a rest day. And what, may I ask, is a better rest day piece of equipment than an e-mountain bike, an e-trail bike, electric trail bike? You got nothing. You don't have anything. There is nothing better. I'm gonna ride this thing through some, what I'm gonna assume is probably some pretty deep snow. It's pretty deep. And with any luck, it'll also come back clean. Still a bunch of dirt on here. The snow definitely needs some time before we can be riding on it. No matter the bike, I think. Welcome to Gear Gab. For this installment of Gear Gab, I want to go over the build, the parts list of Fun Norton, just hopefully as a way to kind of illustrate how I upgrade, maintain, and keep a cheap, affordable hardtail trail bike going throughout all of the riding and progression that you might do when picking up a bike like this and, well, continuing on with it. And especially doing so without going wildly overboard with the parts you get to replace things that have broken or just upgrades you wanted to do anyway. Because it's really easy as you're buying stuff to upgrade to just be like, maybe I'll just go to the next level, or it gets out of hand really quick. And I think this build, Fun Norton himself, is a very good example of the restraint that you can have for a bike that's very capable. At least I think so. So my build here is a size medium Poseidon Norton. It's an aluminum frame. It's got a tapered head tube, 73 millimeter wide threaded bottom bracket. The rear is boost spacing. It's got a 430 millimeter chainstay length. And with these production frames, there really is only clearance for 650B wheels and tires. The chainstays were beefed up pretty substantially around the tire clearance area versus the prototype, which makes it a lot stronger, but of course does take away some tire clearance. So 29s aren't really an option. I'm currently running a 29er axle to crown length 140 millimeter RockShox Revelation. And clamping down on the steer tube of that fork is a Raceface Affect stem, 45 millimeters long, with some 800 millimeter wide, 35 millimeter clamp stock from some Rocky Mountain at one point in time handlebars. I have some slightly older SRAM guide brakes front and rear, and shifting is dealt with by the ever popular, very affordable Microshift Advent X. I'm using a Shimano SLX crank with a Black Spire 34 tooth chainring for some reason. I guess that's just what was on there when I bought these cranks for my friend Harrison. And I have some knockoff Fuker Raceface Chester pedals on here. The dropper post is a version 2 1-up 210 millimeter dropper post with the associated unimproved 1-up lever. And to round it all out, I've got some very budget cross-country stock wheels from Angela's Schwinn Moab 1, a set of WTB ST I-23 rims laced to stock Formula hubs, wrapped up in a set of Panaracer Romeros in the front and a Panaracer Aliso in the rear. Hardly your typical YouTuber dream build parts list, isn't it? But even without it being your traditional YouTuber dream build, I still think it looks super cool. And I'm a big believer in if you think your bike looks cool, if you get excited about how your bike looks, you'll be more excited to ride it, and therefore you will go ride more. And I think I have achieved that for myself with this build without going crazy overboard. So I did tires first on mine because totally transforms the look, but also unimaginable performance gains over the stock tires that were on here. And then I put a dropper post on. And those were the first two things I did when I had the original yellow prototype Norton. And that would be my recommendation to you if you've just gotten an entry-level hardtail. Get yourself a good set of trail tires. Those will change everything for you. And if your hardtail doesn't come with a dropper post, that would be the next upgrade I would make. And then everything else on this bike that's been swapped out from stock, which is a lot of it now, is purely due to the necessity of repair or just opportunity. I absolutely destroyed the stock rear wheel by coming up short on a few things and taking some really bad line choices. So I just swapped it out with this set of WTB STI 23 rims that came off of Angela's bike because they were available to me. I know that these rims are really narrow, the tires are kind of wide, but I've been riding this setup for like a year and a half. No issues. I do have a rim packed, like rim protector in here now to try and keep these wheels going. They've been good. They've been good so far. The crank I eventually did have to replace from the prototype because I had forgotten to tighten one of the bolts and then absolutely wrecked the square taper of the non-drive side. That was my fault. I am not the mechanic I used to be, but thankfully I was able to get a hold of these SLX cranks for a very good price from my friend Harrison. The stock fork that was on this actually wasn't broken or anything, but I took apart a bike we used to have here called Pink Panther. Maybe you remember him, but because I just sold the frame off, I had the SR Suntour Aeon 35 that was available that I could put on this. So that was an opportunity to just like lighten the bike up a little bit. So that's what I had on this for a long time until it blew up. And then I swapped over to this, and then I swapped between these, like these two bikes have swapped forks because they had the same axle to crown. Anyway, there's some nerdery there we probably don't need to get into. And the same story for this, almost this entire cockpit. The bars, stem, and these brakes were all on Pink Panther, and that bike got taken apart, sold, the frame got sold. I was like, well, why don't I just put it all on this? I have the opportunity to do it. So I did it. But the drivetrain, the Advent X, has remained because it's been fine. I haven't had any issues with it. If I do, I'll replace it. But otherwise, just a bunch of like inexpensive parts, stuff that just sort of popped up, all kind of getting thrown on here over time where I can. All while have been riding it the entire time, which is like, that's awesome. So I hope that helps you with the question that I've been posed by new mountain bike riders. What do I do with my budget hardtail next? I, even as an experienced rider on my personal bike, say tires first, dropper post if you don't have one, and then everything else purely out of necessity or opportunity. I really wouldn't go out of your way trying to buy upgrades constantly when you've got a bike that hopefully is working currently that you should just go ride. I appreciate you checking out this episode of Gear Gap. Subscribe for more. Talking about this bike too much, really, it almost, it feels icky because I feel like I'm constantly trying to sell it to you. It's a really good price right now, but I don't want this to seem like a sales pitch. Let's go eat hot dogs. It's been a little while since we've been in here, but you know what we're doing. Eric cooks! Yes. Today I'm cooking 2 jumbo hot dogs. I've got some buns here. When it comes to hot dog buns, New England style buns, top sliced buns, that is the only choice. If you're eating buns different than this. Also, as you know, a hot dog is a vehicle to get as much hot sauce and mustard into your body as possible. So let's do that. Death before ketchup, baby. I'm so excited for this rest day to be over.